you mentioned that you started back up seriously going at this business in June of this past year. And have you started building some lead gen assets, digital websites? Those doing?
I think I've got 4 or 5 going. I've been struggling a little bit with the GBP stuff. I've got to get GBP for them, but I've already gotten calls on them and gotten paid on just by the deal leads. I haven't got anything flat fee, but I think we're going to shift. We built our business on a low ticket niche, right? Quick turnaround, easy pay. And I think that we should have diversified much earlier on and had never really tried to go after much of the bigger ticket items. And after listening to some of the advice and guidance that you've been given the last couple of months, like I'm not even interested in that stuff anymore. I know that I have clients in that certain area that'll still pay and they'll just keep paying, but there's just so many more opportunities that I feel like we should have went after sooner. I don't mind waiting on a site to rank and taking just a couple calls a month if it means that that guy's going to close a deal that's several $1,000s and I'm going to get a nice chunk of change from it and wait as that site ranks better and better. So I've got a couple of them I've already gotten calls on. And then one guy called about wanting a job, probably going to have him lined up to take calls when they do start coming in. But I've still got a lot of work to do on those sites.
Yeah, my thing is this, it's still going to take the same amount of effort to build the site, oftentimes to rank it, obviously to get the GMB. It's still going to take the same amount of effort to talk to the business owner every once in a while, maybe once a week or once a month in the beginning until the relationship is formed. So why not go for the higher ticket niches where there's a lot more room for the client to pay you a 10% on a $10,000 job or $20,000 job? And I think I'm starting to build more of these sites and able to form like these relationships with these contractors, and they're really excited. A lot of them are ambitious, and so they don't mind paying a percentage. Like they're like, dude, we already have crews out there ready to do these jobs. We just need more leads. So these are the clients to look for. And it's also nice to be in an area where there's these ambitious business owners. What's your kind of thoughts on that? Because I sometimes notice that like some of the students built these high ticket lead gens in smaller towns and they have a hard time finding companies that want those leads versus if you build them in near cities that are a little bit bigger market, you don't have any issues finding contractors. What's your thoughts on that? Have you had any issues finding businesses to take the leads at times or?
I think it's going to be a numbers game. It's like you said, if you're in a bigger market, you're obviously going to have more providers of service. The likelihood of you finding the best person to partner with is so much higher. If you find yourself in a lower populated area, it's what we call slim pickings here in the South. You're either going to get Joe Smo to do it, and he might not because he's got a hangover, or you're going to it's funny because the people in some areas that I end up working with have recently moved to those areas. I think it is much more valuable to dig a little deeper and go for those larger markets.
Yeah. And there is a lot of money to be made though if it's in a smaller town, but if it's only 30 miles away from the big town, like in
Yeah.
the suburbs surrounding a big city, then it's fine. There's actually a lot of money to be made, especially if you're in a higher ticket niche, because some of those smaller towns are much, much easier to rank. That's a good strategy as well because my Chicago roofing client covers a huge area and there's a lot of small towns within that area. You don't have to try to rank in Chicago. Like there's all the suburbs surrounding Chicago. Same with Detroit, where I grew up. Metro Detroit is a huge area, and a lot of those towns around Detroit are 70,000 population, 100,000 population. Those cities are fine. Those cities, actually, if you go into high ticket niche, you find a strong client, there's a lot of money to be made in those. I'm talking about if it's like a 60,000 population city and within 50-mile radius, there's no other cities around. Like a super isolated town like that, I can find that it can be a bit challenging at times.
Yeah, I don't think we have any websites like that. We've always done the strategy of building in a smaller town within a decent radius. And so we have ended up working with people that have came from the larger city because they're wanting to expand into that area. So that's been pretty profitable. And like I said, that's with some of the older things.